want me to put that on my Tudor?
Harry's wife, Doria and the drugs. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. No, that isn't the name of some new band, but rather the information that has recently been circulated that appertains to Doria Ragland, Harry's wife's mother, and the use of drugs. We know from other information that has been unearthed about Doria that she regularly took drugs in the past, and it might be that she continues to do so. Furthermore, there remains a question mark over a period of time when she was absent from Harry's wife's life, and some have suggested that it was related to tax offences, others have suggested that it related to drugs offences, and that she was incarcerated during this period of time. Again, it is speculation as to what occurred. What we do know is she wasn't around. I've explained elsewhere that Doria Ragland is also a narcissist. An examination of her conduct and behaviours over the years supports the various headings in terms of acting with a sense of entitlement, not operating with emotional empathy, demonstrating a lack of accountability for her actions, exhibition of grandiosity, haughty behaviours, various manipulative behaviours, poor boundary recognition, and, of course, various aspects demonstrated of the narcissistic dynamic. The evidence supports the finding that she too is a narcissist. The information that has come to light has been dug up on Reddit, on the St. Harry's Wife's thread, and somebody posting under anonymous on another thread has had their material circulated on the Reddit thread. I leave it for you to make the determination about the veracity of this material, as always. It certainly wouldn't be something that you would necessarily rely upon as concrete. However, as is often the case, narcissists do engage in nefarious behaviours, and the very fact that they are a narcissist invariably supports the credibility of the information that's disclosed. It does not follow that just because somebody is a narcissist that means that they're going to be a drug user. There are plenty of non-narcissist drug users alongside narcissists that are drug users. But for a variety of reasons that I've explained in other videos, there is an increased likelihood that a narcissist or being a drug user. Again, infidelity is commonly found in the behaviour of a narcissist. Non-narcissists also cheat, but it's more often seen in the behaviour of a narcissist. Just because somebody cheats, that does not make them a narcissist. You have to look at a range of other behaviours over a sustained period of time to make that evaluation. Nevertheless, narcissists often behave in a way where they cheat, they tell lies repeatedly, that they steal, that they don't pull their weight financially, that they ponce off other people. Of course, there are other narcissists that hold down very good jobs, but bully people in the workplace, and therefore the manifestation of the narcissism comes in various shapes and forms, as my extensive work has explained to you. Here, the information states as follows. So on Easter Monday, I met up with an old friend of mine, writes Anonymous. She's kind of known due to her work, but it's unimportant to me to be honest. But due to her work, she has some friends, contacts, and colleagues across the board and industries. What I've heard is that Doria and Harry do not get along, not one bit. Pausing there. That would not necessarily be a surprise. Why? Well, Doria, as a narcissist, needs to assert control over Harry. And, in certain instances, the way that he conducts himself will be a threat to her control. Therefore, she views him as problematic, and therefore is unpleasant towards him. For instance, if he refuses to do something that she wants, that's a threat to control, and the type of narcissist that she is, she's likely to lash out with some verbal assault towards him. It's also the case that she's likely to triangulate Harry with his wife, for instance, threatening to tell Harry's wife about what Harry might have done or not have done. or even going to Harry's wife and complaining about Harry. Remember, because Harry's in a sustained devaluation, and because Harry's wife deals with her mother intermittently, it's more likely that she will view her mother in a favourable light and Harry in an unfavourable light. And therefore, in those circumstances where Doria complains about Harry to Harry's wife, it's likely that Harry's wife will take the side of her mother. Some of you may find that surprising, thinking that she's more likely to back up her spouse, but the fact is, Harry's invariably going to be painted black. Not all of the time, but much of the time. Her mother less so. As a shelf appliance that she only has limited involvement with, she's less likely to portray her in a black view, and instead is more likely to believe what her mother has to say for the purposes of asserting control over her mother by agreement, and then asserting control over Harry by saying, "What have you been doing now? How dare you upset my mother?" etc., etc. Accordingly, Doria Ragland's narcissism will recognise the ability to play her daughter as against Harry and will repeatedly do so. The post continues by explaining that she and Harry's wife are awful and downright abusive to him. My friend knows one of their close friends, who is also very shocked by it all. But Doria and Harry's wife know to not leave visible marks, but they are not stupid and have sneakily got evidence of him being threatening and attacking back. Drunk Harry's wife has loose lips. No surprise, of course, to find that both she and Harry's wife are awful and downright abusive to him. After all, they are both narcissists, and they will engage in devaluing behaviour towards him. Harry has strong narcissistic traits, and therefore there will be instances, particularly when he's suffering repeated devaluations, that his strong narcissistic traits of pride, anger, argumentativeness will cause him to fight back. And in the circumstances when he does, typically of the narcissist, that is then used against them. "Why are you being horrible towards me, Harry? Why are you being threatening? You've got a problem. You're on the drugs again, aren't you?" The narcissist edits out their own culpability, and the film starts part way through. Harry is only responding to the way that he's being treated, the manipulations that he's receiving from both Doria and Harry's wife. However, when it comes to putting him in his place and nullifying the threat to control when he fights back, he's told that he's the protagonist, that he is the perpetrator, that he is the problem. And in the circumstances, he is portrayed as being difficult. I do not doubt that Harry has been repeatedly filmed by both Doria and Harry's wife, and that there is material showing him having a temper tantrum, possibly issuing threats, likely under the influence of drugs and alcohol. That will have been taken in the instance to assert control over him, but at a later juncture, as and when the narcissism decrees that further control needs to be asserted over him, those events from the past will be dredged up. Remember, the type of narcissist that Harry's wife and Doria are is not that they actually sit and plan, "Let's bait Harry and then we'll record it," but rather, when he starts to lose his shit, they will record it in order to triangulate him with the recording device in that moment to cause the threat to control to be nullified. That material then exists, and at a later juncture, when he invariably threatens their sense of control, the narcissism then states, "We need to nullify that threat to control. What have we got in our box of tricks to do so? We've got some evidence of him having a rage attack from a couple of months ago. Let's bring up the past and use that against him." Accordingly, it is no surprise, if it is accurate, as per this disclosure, that they are abusing him and behaving in this manner. Remember, the pictures and footage that invariably appeared in the Shitflix documentary was taken by Doria, and therefore she's likely to have been wandering around with a camera on her phone or a video recording device so that she's able to record and photograph all of these snippets regularly and readily. And therefore, I suspect there is a substantial body of evidence that demonstrates, when edited in a particular way, that Harry is a problem. But there are more disclosures. The information states Doria acts like it's her house in Montecito. Sense of entitlement, lack of boundary recognition, and is a little dictator who thrives on drugs. My friend says that what she heard is that Dora deliberately got Harry into things like psychedelics, and it's because of her that he's so dependent on drugs. Harry's wife just does things like coke, marijuana, etc. Again, whether this is accurate, I leave it for you to make a determination. We know, of course, that Harry has admitted that he's taken drugs. We also know from other evidence that Doria has taken drugs, and therefore it's hardly a surprise if she continues to take them, and she's encouraging Harry to do so. By ensuring that there's a ready supply of certain mind-altering psychedelics and other drugs also, not only does this impact upon Harry's day-to-day capabilities, eroding essentially his ability to think straight, and remember, he's not the sharpest knife in the drawer to begin with, and if he's under the influence of being manipulated, his own emotional thinking, and drugs, his capability to find his way out of all of this is severely impaired. Furthermore, this creates more evidence to demonstrate that he's an unfit individual, and at the point of disengagement, and that legal proceedings thereafter follow with regard to divorce and child custody, you can bet your bottom dollar that this information will be used against him. It also, of course, shows the hypocrisy of Harry's wife with regard to holding herself out there as being a good mum if, and of course this is an if, she is taking drugs at the current time. The influence of her mother is such that it's having an adverse impact upon Prince Harry. She doesn't care about him, she's a narcissist, and she's driven like any narcissist to pursue the prime aims, though again with her, she's unaware of what's happening. She sees him as a problem. She therefore adversely impacts upon him, and also remember, she will do this to curry favour with her daughter. She will see that Prince Harry's use has basically been used up, and her daughter is the one that has got the money, that has the power, that has the influence. And, similarly motivated by those things, Doria is likely to cozy up to her daughter, seek to curry favour, and one way of doing so, of course, is to regularly portray Prince Harry in a poor light in order to gain the approval of her daughter, and thus have access to those things that I've just mentioned. It creates an almighty shit show for Harry, that notwithstanding the fact that he's not that bright to begin with, he's being assailed by his own emotional thinking, and, if this information is accurate, the repeated application of the influence of drugs. On top of that, he's caught in a pincer movement. Doria to the left of him, Harry's wife to the right of him. He's stuck in the middle and doesn't know what to do. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.